Ladies and gentlemen, today history was made. It's not clickbait. It's not hyperbole. It's not dramatic. Really, I'm being serious. I am talking about Divya Deshmukh from India, who just won the Women's World Cup. And in doing so, number one, she qualifies for the candidates tournament, the winner of which challenges for the World Championship. Number two, she becomes the first woman from India to ever win the Women's World Cup. And number three, and perhaps the most incredible thing, she becomes a Grand Master from winning this tournament. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, see, Levy, I told you she was going to be a Grandmaster before you. And I would say, obviously, bozos, she's way better of a player. I don't even see how that's a question. But to do it by winning such a tournament, I didn't even know it was possible. I didn't know that the prize for winning the Women's World Cup was to get the Grandmaster title. It's incredible stuff. And she did it by defeating none other than Humpy Koneru, who is the defending World Rapid Champion and also an Indian legend, and twice the age of Divya. 19 versus 38. She's a legend of Indian chess. I'm going to show you some of the games. That's what I'm going to do. Super impressive. Just incredible to hold your nerves. And, you know, you saw so much emotion out of Divya, like after the end of every single matchup and in the interviews. And really, it's a battle of attrition, some of these tournaments, like making it to the very end. So I'm going to show you one of the games from the Classical when they played with 90 minutes on the clock. Then I'm going to show you the first rapid tiebreak, and then I'm going to show you the championship game, the game that won her the World Cup. Just incredible stuff. So this was the Classical game that kicked things off. Humpy played a Queen's Gambit accepted with D takes C4. Divya went with E4, which is kind of the most principled move in the Queen's Gambit accepted. But it's not the most solid approach. It leads to very sharp positions with Knight F3, Bishop B4 check, Knight C3, Knight F6, Knight takes E5, and from the opening, Black made some degree of a mistake. Instead of Bishop to B7, castling or grabbing the pawn immediately would have been better. And this game felt very, very wild. So Divya castled. Humpy then took her knight, and this pawn is hanging, so you take it. Now, white here proceeds with Bishop A3, and black can't castle. So clearly, the idea is to give away material, to then put a lot of pressure with your pieces and make it difficult for black, who plays a very natural move, retreating the knight, blocking the bishop, and trying to castle. And now Divya generates a powerful initiative with Bishop to F3 because you're threatening a lot of the pieces in black's position. You can't take, because I take with the queen, targeting this and this. And so in this position, as early as move 12 in the championship battle, Divya had a very big advantage, which she could have capitalized by playing a move like Rook B1, which is a very strange move. But the point is that basically you just put pressure, you keep trying to put pressure, then you take, then you play here, you have ideas like Knight C4, etc. She goes Knight C4. She spends 12 minutes. She tries to win the game out of the opening. She sacrifices the knight because you can't take it with the knight due to various attacks on the king. If you take it with the pawn, there's Rook E1, and then your king's going to have to move, right? So Divya sacrifices a knight looking for a knockout blow. And at this point, she takes and plays Queen E2, but apparently Queen E2 straight away on deep analysis is +3. Queen E2 looking for Queen E7. You know, the king is going to run away, but somehow white is winning. It's kind of tough to understand, but it's basically that black can't really move the pieces very well. All the pieces that are important are stuck on the last rank, and Queen E2, Queen E7 would have been a decisive advantage. Whether she would have won the game, because she is still down a knight, like you still have to find your way through, is a different story. She does this, the knight is pinned, which means that that's mate. That's literally checkmate, because the king can't take because of the rook, and the knight can't take because of the bishop. But after knight c6, there is no mate. Divya goes d5, and now Humpy plays a great move, very well-timed, h5. With multiple ideas, number one, king has breathing room. Number two, you're just giving the knight, the extra knight, right? You're trying to take back, and then your rook is going to come to protect. And from this point forward, we got to this position. Divya still has a very nice looking position, queen and rook, another rook, but just not enough to win the game. And it was kind of nuts because this one was almost decided in like 15 moves. She had a very powerful advantage. Humpy ultimately going for counterplay. And yeah, this game is just going to have to end somehow in a draw. I think d5 was like a slight inaccuracy, but rook h8 and the game ends in a draw. This was their first classical game. Their second classical game, much more peaceful. Not really anything to look at. They just kind of drew. They both played at like 98% accuracy, which means they need to show up for a final day and play tiebreak chess. They have to play rapid chess. One thing I have never understood, just going to throw this out there. World Cup is decided in classical chess, right? World Chess Championship decided in classical chess. Except at some point we have to break a tie of the classical chess, so we make them play 15-minute chess. I mean, we go from 90 or 2 hours to 15 minutes. Why don't we just meet in the middle? Like, why don't we just play 45-minute chess? Not rapid, but a faster version of classical and like 2 games a day. I don't know. I never understood this concept, but I'm not going to die on this hill now. Now, 15-minute chess. If this is a tie, they then have to play blitz. Even faster. And then at the end, they have to get on a computer and play hyperbullet chess, 30 seconds each. Just kidding. E4, E5, knight F3. Humpy goes for the Petrov defense. If you are looking for a very solid defensive, I don't want to say defensive, but symmetrical system with black, you can play the Petrov. Nobody watching this below 2,000 should play the Petrov. If you play the Petrov and you're below 2,000, you are a sad individual. I do not envy you. There are many more fun openings. None of you are trying to win the World Cup. If you were, you would not be watching these videos. C4, pawn takes, bishop takes, castles. This has all been played before. You can see from Divya's time management, 16 minutes on the clock. She started the game with 15. She's not shape-shifting. That is completely normal. Knight to b4, and now bishop to b3. And still, all of this is preparation. Now, maybe we're going to think, yes, h3. White's top engine move here is queen f1 or queen d2. Queen f1, I completely don't understand. Queen d2 or queen e2, I definitely understand. Now, white has a good central presence, nice active pieces, maybe ideas to play d5, knight e5. But as you see, the Petrov is not an opening that, is easily going to fall apart. h3, bishop to g6, knight a4, and now Humpy gave up the bishop pair, but white doesn't really have too much to show for it. She tries to go for some attack, but she still has a isolated pawn. She might try to get rid of it. There it is. And now Humpy creates tactical opportunities against this queen. If the pawn takes, there's things like knight to e4 maybe, queen g4, but now black is better, knight f5, and black actually has some degree of an advantage. I'm not sure why she didn't play knight f5, to be honest. Maybe she didn't like knight f5, rook f3, pawn d5, bishop c2, which looks promising, but there is rook c8. I'm not really sure. Maybe she just thought that, being pinned here is unpleasant. But she took on d5, and now Divya is just going to have to try to win this pawn back. I'm not sure it's going to be so complicated, though. It's kind of hard for black to defend the pawn. Rook e1, there's a lot of pins. Queen c6, knight takes. And yeah, I mean, the pawn is now standing on the same type of square that you need it as. Queen g4, I think here trading and going for g4 was the right idea for Divya, but she has a minute and 25 on the clock, so trading, playing here. And again, now the Women's World Cup has to be determined in a, time scramble with a minute on the clock. So queen f6 now is the best move for black. Queen d7 is played instead. Queen g3, queen d6, and again, f5 would be nice, right? If we were not pinned. So if you could get 2 moves in a row, you would be very, very happy. But queen f6 is the best move. Okay, h5, queen g5. Both players less than a minute on the clock. Absolutely anything can happen. Divya is still down a pawn, but she can sack the queen for the rook and then go here. She doesn't do that. And Humpy now gives up the queen and goes rook d7. Again, minute on the clock. Well, queen b6 check. Queen b8, not a queen b6. Queen b8 check. And some sort of 8th rank infiltration is the right way to go. This way is the wrong way to go because now black can block with the rook. You needed to go queen b8 like this because rook d8 here doesn't particularly matter. And listen, these pieces are going to create a very nice defensive fortress, yeah. And Divya is not going to be able to break through this. These pieces are very, very well positioned. and rook e6, and black has absolutely everything protected. Look at this position. Everything is protected. There is no way for white's king to get in, and there is no way for white's queen and pawn to get to the black king. Again, every game felt stressful. I'm not going to lie. Every single game. And ultimately, you know, Divya keeps trying. But Humpy's very experienced, and she's not going to blunder anything. These pawns can get traded. You just can't break through. This is one way to defend yourself against the queen, and this is the championship game. D4, D5, Queen's Gambit declined, Catalan. One of the purest openings that you can play. One of the best openings. Again, if you're below 2,000, you can try the Catalan. You will have more success than in the Petrov. But the true the beneficiaries of the Catalan are around like 1900, 2000, 21, 22. At that level, white actually knows how to play chess very well. And players with black don't have great theory. At this level, players with black have studied the Catalan extensively. So d takes c4, bishop g2, and now there are many lines. Bishop b4 check is one of them. Humpy goes here, and Divya defends the bishop with a pawn. I have played this myself with black. I've also played c5. Queen c2. Now you take on d2. Knight bd2, and Divya plays b5. As you can see from Divya's time management, she's extremely well prepared. Like, extremely. Her openings are very good. a4 from Humpy. Now c6 defending. And black is basically saying, like, look, you gave me a pawn. I'm not going to give it up so easily, right? b3. There's a very modern idea in these types of positions for white to just straight up be down a pawn. White has 6 and black has 7 pawns. But this side of the board is perpetually under fire, right? It takes a very good player with the black pieces to manage the complications. And it takes a very good player with the white pieces to put the right pressure. And so, like, you know, players like Magnus, when they have the white pieces, they do a very nice job. Like, look at this, knight c5. You know, this rook is going to come to b1, and it's just very unpleasant to play with black here. Very unpleasant. I would hate this position with black. Pawn takes a4. Divya trying to clarify the situation. By the way, Divya is playing every move instantly. Still. Knight a6. She takes with the rook. So from the opening, Divya has a nearly 9-minute time advantage. Just think about that. 9 minutes. You get 15 minutes for the whole game. That's crazy. What is that? 60%? Yeah. Rook takes a4. 7 minutes is still plenty of time, though. Rook a1. Very natural moves. I think at this point, Humpy was kind of like, look, I'm happy to win these 2 pawns. I might lose a pawn in the process, and it'll probably be a typical Catalan draw. But before you know it, you know, Divya is just, she's going to start converting the advantage. She's going to start showing that she has this extra pawn, and she's not afraid to use it. Knight c4. Queen drops back. Now it's 255 to 1040. Let me tell you something right now. I have played rapid chess, all right? It is not fun to play down 8 minutes in rapid chess. Queen d2. She's looking to win this pawn, and Divya plays knight back to b6. Now, you can take this knight, and then you have very good pressure here and very good pressure here. This is the one long-term benefit of the Catalan, is oftentimes your pawn structure here is really fantastic, right? Knight b6, queen b6, everything kind of looks protected. Now, maybe rook c4, queen c2, okay, queen c3, knight f6, h6, all useful moves by black. Black is sort of waiting. Black is just waiting. Black's saying, look, you're not going to win this, you're not going to win this, but in all likelihood, this is simply a draw because you can't win the pawns, but black's position is extremely passive. I mean, you're just playing defense. Wow! Bishop takes d5. Now, Humpy could have went queen c2, queen a1. Frankly, she could have went queen a3, queen d3, queen c4. She could have even probably went to c5, d2, and e1. Literally, any queen move that didn't lose a queen was probably fine to keep the game going. Queen c5, a little bit of an overcommitment, but this is a very bold decision because now if cd5, you would have just straight up helped black's pawn structure. Obviously, you know, Divya didn't like something there, so she took like this. But Humpy is basically saying, my queen and 2 rooks are so powerful that it doesn't matter that you are up a pawn. I am going to win one of these pawns back in the long run. And even if I don't, you're not going to be able to easily move. Divya is just like, all right, bring it. Queen b5, queen b6. Queen c7. Queen a7. Queen b6. Rook b2. Queen d8. You can't get in. Rook a2. h5. H4, G6. All right, we're just kind of pushing pawns, right? Humpy's got a minute. Humpy is the one that is saying that the game is not going to end in a draw. Queen B6, King G1, King G2. I mean, the players are literally just shuffling pieces because nobody can do anything. Nobody can do anything. Humpy then says, no, I'm going to try to break through. Divya's like, okay, bring it on. D5. Oh my. Oh my. Now, the craziest thing is, this is actually a very clever attacking idea to try to go D6 and actually win this pawn back. But not only is black holding here after the move Queen E5, black is actually playing for a win because you pin the pawn to the queen. You pin the pawn to the queen, and for a brief moment, black is up 2 pawns, and black is threatening to be up 3 pawns. Rook D1. Now black has to go Rook D8. She doesn't do it. Rook D8, and the game was actually like almost over on the spot. For pawn takes, rook takes, suddenly there's counterplay. Suddenly this whole idea by Humpy is very nice, and even though she's down 2 pawns, she's creating some nasty chances. This endgame is also a draw, but black maintains the extra pawn, and the difference between this position and let's say the one here, you know, here black can't move. The thing is, like, the center is completely locked. You're super locked up here, but this is a totally different position. Here, white can't move. White can't move the rook from A4 because this pawn's going to come down. It's still a draw, though. It's still a draw. Even this position is a draw. Now, the only thing you can't do with white is go over there, because in that time, black will, you know, find their way into this position. It's very tense. King E5, King D, and now F4 is so clever. But what white should do here is bring the king back. Take is a draw. It's a draw because you keep out the king. King E5, King E4 keeps out the king. Humpy goes here. And that move is losing. It's losing because now black's pawn runs away. And it runs away. And it runs all the way down here, where white's rook now has to stay protecting it. And in the meantime, you're going to try to get the king in over here. Watch as Divya just stalls for time against the white king. The white king has to move somewhere, and every time it moves, she cuts it off. She forces the king back there, and now begins moving her pawns. Now here, this is apparently a mistake. Black has to go F5 and bring the king back around that way. I mean, it's unbelievable. She goes here. Now, pawn takes H5 is drawing somehow. It's drawing if you go King D5. And on King G4, you push. It's like a super mysterious position because white just can't move the rook. White can't move the rook. Anytime you move the rook, you got to move it right back. H6 is losing. Apparently, King D5 and only then H6 was a draw. H6. Now black has to go King E4 because you disallow King D5 and you go here, but the players have less than 40 seconds. So F5, very natural move, but you had to go King E4 to stop King D5. Now here, King D5 is a draw again, and she plays it. Apparently this position is a draw, which is crazy. How is this a draw? Black is going to move the king and promote the pawn. F4. Now King E5 is a draw. King E5 is a draw because anywhere the king moves, you check it. And then you also threaten to go join your pawn. King E5 hits the pawn, and then you're going to go join this pawn. And she plays here first. And that is very natural, but it's the wrong move. Because after Rook H7 there, this is losing. The king is now going to walk and promote. You had to go King E5. She had to find this with 20 seconds. Not easy. Not easy at all. But you know who held her nerves? Divya. The pawn is just coming. The king can't get close. And in this position, Humpy Koneru resigned. Divya Deshmukh won the 2025 Women's World Cup, an amazing first place prize, and maybe more importantly, the Grandmaster title. Before this tournament, Divya had a very high rating, but she didn't even have a Grandmaster norm. By qualifying to the final, she got a Grandmaster norm. That's in the regulations. But for winning the tournament, you get the Grandmaster title. I'm not even sure which one is more valuable, the Grandmaster title or the spot in the Candidates tournament. She won it all. She won the Women's World Cup, first Indian player to do so, the Grandmaster title, and a candidate spot. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And she's an Olympic gold medalist with Humpy, by the way. Olympic teammates. You got Gukesh also, world champion from India. Dude, Indian chess is in another stratosphere at the moment. And it's not just that, it's like the culture, it's the national culture. Every single time there is a success, Divya, Gukesh, the Olympic team, doesn't matter, Humpy at the World Rapid Championship, you see all the leaders of the country, business, tech, politics, and whatever you think, oh, well, they're just posting it, they're just posting to gain support. No, it's like the whole country comes alive when something big happens. Like nowhere else. Like nowhere else. Really. It's incredible. It's admirable. And they should all be very proud. Divya should be very proud. Humpy should be very proud. By the way, third place match was won by Tan Zhongyi. She defeated Lei Tingjie, so she also qualifies for the candidates and gets the bronze. That's all I have for you today. Get out of here.